I'm taking a short break from work to have a little bit of a think about something that's been on my mind a lot, partly because I've been teaching about it recently and partly because I really think it's important, and that is picture books. The great importance of picture books. It also, this post might be slightly motivated by the work that I'm doing on my own picture book. Ooh, Scribble Explores the World, coming soon. Moving swiftly on. Picture books. Perhaps, I think, one of the most important exposures to literature that we have in our lives. I think there are some obvious reasons why. They are often the very first form of literature we consume. Bearing in mind that we are also reading and consuming adverts, TV and films, and just our environment at all times as well. So they're certainly not the first thing, but they're up there. I'm going to just switch hand for a moment. Oh, look what's happened. There we go. That's better. So why are they the most important? Now, I do think adverts have a lot to answer for, but let's just look at the picture book for a second. One of the wonderful things about it is that it has a kind of equalising effect. So generally what happens, an adult will be reading that book because there's usually text in a picture book. Now, I know schools are kind of like redefining the definition at the moment, and often when schools talk about picture books, they talk about picture only, no text. But I think for the rest of us, we are talking about books with text and pictures, wherein the picture is located as being just as important, if not occasionally sometimes more important than the text itself. But there's an equality between those two things that are at work, the text and the picture. They both add to one another. They both increase the meaning that we might otherwise gain from just one of those things. And the other equalising effect that occurs is that because an adult is reading that book with a child, usually, so the child will be there, the adult will be there. What's lovely is that the adult tends to focus on the text. We read the text. Children, they focus on the image. They read the image. And then there's this dual understanding being brought to the story. So the child is bringing their understanding of the image that they have focused on, and the adult is bringing their understanding of the text which they have focused on. And together they are creating meaning. There are very few things in a young child's life where they get to be an equal creator with an adult in the construction of meaning. And the picture book is one of those areas. And that's one of those reasons, I think, why it has such a draw. I can be, we can be watching a bit of TV, potentially, with my daughter, who's 3. But if she sees a book, or, if I suggest we read a book, often that's what she would jump to more. And maybe that's just her. But I wonder if there's something in this attention that she gets that's one-on-one, where we're both constructing meaning together. I think there is something in that. The other thing, of course, is that we all know it helps us learn language, it helps us develop a vocabulary, and it helps us learn how to read. There's all of those things. They're important things too. I realise that the way that I'm talking about them means to be sort of like, they're not as important as the other stuff. They're important, but perhaps we over-prioritise that part. The other thing about picture books is that they have a lot of power. They have an extraordinary amount of power because they are this unique thing. And because they convey meaning in both text and image. And part of that power is that they tell us what stories are, and to some extent then what stories can be. So we formulate some of our very early understandings of narrative and narrative structure through them. And they also tell us who can be in stories. And in that regard, they need to do a better job. There are some wonderful picture books that do build in a diversity of voice and human and non-human. But there are a lot of stories that still go down very stereotypical routes of roles that are assigned to characters. So nurturing roles still seem to be overwhelmingly assigned to females, and action roles seem to be overwhelmingly assigned to males. And let's be honest, there isn't a huge amount of diversity. There aren't that many picture books that are prominent in the bookshop that feature non-white characters, and certainly not many that feature diverse family units, or I don't know where I was going with the or there. Oh, yeah, now I do, yeah. Or multiple physical ability. Different ways of understanding and seeing the world. Or not even seeing the world. Interpreting the world through not images. So, gosh, they're wonderful things. I love a good picture book. But we're also kind of letting generations down a little bit. And we, I think, need to demand more from our picture books. We need to demand the world that not only that we actually do live in, a world that is diverse and represent that, but I think really, especially when we're looking at literature for children, we ought to be looking at creating the world we would like to see as well. And that's me. Thanks for listening.